Hey guys, guess who's back with a new hairdo and all. Welcome back to the Timely Teacherpreneur. I'm Rainey Barton. If you're new here, I'm a Teacherpreneur productivity mentor. So I help teacherpreneurs master their time and energy while scaling their biz so that they can ditch the hustle and grind, break up with busy, and stop sacrificing their mental health. And I've probably said that like 50 million times by now, so it's pretty much on repeat. But if you're new here, this channel is all on productivity tips, tricks, and strategies to help make your life just a little bit easier, not only for teacherpreneurs, but all around. But a lot of my information is going to especially help teacherpreneurs. So if you're interested in sticking around for all that, check the button, the subscribe button, and share and like and all of those things. But today we're going to be talking about the Pomodoro technique, and it is probably my favorite method to getting stuff done, deep work done, especially when I really have to in the evenings in order to move my business forward. And so we're going to talk about the Pomodoro technique. You might have seen a tomato with it before, or a tomato timer as it is most popular about. It doesn't actually have to do with tomatoes. So we're going to dive into all about why I use it, how I use it, and how you can start implementing it into your own productivity sessions today. So let's get started. So for those of you that don't know, Pomodoro actually means tomato in Italian, hence why it's a tomato. But the traditional Pomodoro technique is where you take 25 minutes, you set a timer for 25 minutes, and you sit down to work on one specific task. So you're not task hopping during this time. And typically people will use it when they really need to make leeway in a project, or even for something that they're just dreading doing and they keep pushing it off. Like I've been pushing off with making my lead magnet for my email list, like my new freebie. I've been really dreading that. So you take your timer 25 minutes, and you work on it. And then after 25 minutes, you take a 5-minute break. And that is called one Pomodoro. Then you can do up to 4 Pomodoros in a row, so 2-hour block, but then you have to take 15 to 30-minute break in between if you want to do another deep round session. Although typically after 4 Pomodoro sessions, I take a break because 2 hours of deep uninterrupted work really allows me to get really far in my business. Because when we're task hopping from things to things, or task to task, it actually takes you about 23 minutes in between each time you get distracted and move to a new thing before you get refocused back in. So you're never really getting focused back in. So that's why the Pomodoro technique has been super, super helpful for me and making sure that I get everything that I need to done in my business. Now, something that really helps me when I'm planning out my Pomodoro sessions is to actually know what I'm going to be doing for these sessions, because I don't know if you've ever been sitting to go have a work session and you go, okay, what am I going to work on today? And you look at your to-do list and you keep hemming and hawing and you never really choose something, and then you look and 30 minutes went by and you lost your 30-minute window to do productive work. That happens all the time. So it is much more efficient if you actually know what you're going to be doing in your Pomodoro session. So I typically like to do this the night before. We all know I'm a night before type of planner, especially on Sundays. I plan out my whole week. So I try to see when I'm going to fit my Pomodoro sessions in and what I'm going to work on during that time. Now, like I already mentioned, I typically like to only try and do one specific task in those 25 minutes. But if there's a couple of miniature tasks that you think could just be knocked out in one Pomodoro session, like maybe you need to call the vet and set an appointment up for your dog. Maybe you need to email back one of your clients and just tell them, the next phase in their process of working together with you. Maybe you need to, set up an appointment with the principal to like tour your son's preschool, whatever it is. But those 3 things could get knocked out within those 25-minute session. Then I would just put all of those together as well. I like to plan out these Pomodoro sessions in my actual paper planner. I've also put it on Trello before, because we all know I'm a big fan of Trello. And I'll just type in Pomodoro 1 and I'll write exactly what I'm going to do for those 25 minutes. And I typically will put 4 Pomodoros each day, just in case I actually manage to find that amount of time. That way I'm able to know what my next session is going to be, because if I find out later on that I have another session that I could use and I don't have something planned already, then we're going to fall back into that pattern I talked about earlier, where I don't actually have anything planned and I waste all of the time trying to figure out what I should do and not actually making any progress on anything at all. This has helped me exponentially with getting things done a lot faster. Like, for example, if you've been following me over on Instagram, or even on here, I've mentioned it a couple of times, I am in the middle of my blog batching process for Q2. I am batching 13 blog posts. Yes, I might be a little bit crazy, but I'm doing it for Q2. And that video is going to be dropping in the middle of April once I'm done with the blog post, because I'm almost there. And you can see what the whole journey of that looked like. But blog posts, I always end up dreading writing them, even though they don't actually take that long once I start. I just dread the thought of starting. And so when I set myself to do it in Pomodoro style, then one of two things can happen. Maybe I give myself 2 or 3 Pomodoros to do it. And 1, it makes me work a lot faster. Or 2, I end up realizing like, okay, actually I need 3 Pomodoros, or I need 4 Pomodoros to make that blog post work. And so then you realize how long it actually takes you to work. There's a little old thing called Parkinsons Law, which basically says that work expands to fill the time spot that it is allotted. So if you give yourself a day to write an email, it's going to take you a whole day. Whereas if you give yourself 20 minutes to write an email, it's going to take you 20 minutes. So it's the same thing for all things in your business. If you go, okay, I have 2 hours, I'm gonna write this blog post. It's gonna take you literally those 2 hours. And maybe it only needs to take you 30 minutes and you just need to set a Pomodoro timer and have 25 minutes of uninterrupted work. So the problem that we have is that if you don't specifically set out how much time you're going to allot yourself for a specific task, then you're gonna run into that Parkinson's Law effect where it is taking you the entire day to literally write like 2 blog posts that should have taken you 2 hours, because our time will just expand. Have you ever felt a 2-week deadline for a project and you end up finding yourself procrastinating until the last night where you're like, holy crap, I have to do this now? You gave yourself the whole 2 weeks. If you had said, okay, and broken it up into specific tasks and went, okay, by day 3, I have to have this done. By day 4, I have to have this done. By the end of the first week, I have to have this done. You wouldn't have been procrastinating as much, because our brains automatically go, oh, I have 2 weeks. Like, I'm just going to push that off and push that off and push that off. And then you see where I'm going here. It's the day before and you're like, oh crap, I'm screwed. So we're trying to beat that as much as possible and not be procrastinating until the last second. And so this Pomodoro technique really helps you get in gear. So that's basically how I use the Pomodoro technique. It's basically the one thing that helps me in my business the most, especially because if you've ever heard of sleep chronotypes and figuring out the best time of the day where you can get your best deep work done, your best creativity sessions done, your best communicative sessions done, which if you've never heard that and that's a foreign language to you, there's a whole video series coming on that soon. But there are specific times that your circadian rhythm, your internal clock can handle deep work. And mine, unfortunately, happens to be while I'm teaching. And so during the summer, I'll be able to actually work in my nice deep workflow. But for now, in order to help my brain at night when I'm tired and I don't want to do anything, I have to use these Pomodoro techniques. And so it's been really helpful being able to have this timer to have that uninterrupted work, which is why my first actual tip for you is to make sure that you don't have any distractions. So if your timer has to be on your phone, I try not to make it be on my phone. I try to actually make it on my computer because I'm typically using my computer for the Pomodoro technique, but you want to try and eliminate all distractions as possible. Because if you're getting distracted during your Pomodoro, then it's not really an effective Pomodoro session. And so that includes making sure that, your son or your kids are like not right under your feet bothering you, that your phone is off, that you're not watching Netflix. If you can't listen to music and also work at the same time, then you're not doing that. Whatever you need to do to get into your space. So for me, when I know I need deep work done, I go into my office and that's where I get my best deep work done. So making sure you actually have no distractions, no apps on, all of the things so that you can actually get the work done that you want to get done. Another tip, like I said, is to write down what you are going to do in your Pomodoros before you actually start your Pomodoros. As I mentioned before, if you have no idea where you're going or what you're going to be doing, you're going to waste all of your time trying to figure out what you're going to be doing, and you're never going to get any deep work done on any of the things. So make sure you take some time, whether it's weekly, you decide what your Pomodoros are going to be, or even the same day of, but you still decide before you're going to do the Pomodoros. You're going to find a lot more success that way. Another tip would be to actually take the rest that the Pomodoro suggests. I am notorious for not taking those rests. Your brain needs those rests. There's a reason that we take these rests. Because after you've been doing deep focused work for 25 minutes, you just need a sec. You might need to go to the bathroom. You might need to get a drink of water. You might want to take a little bite to eat. But it's not going to serve you any good or your brain any good if you just keep powering through, because then you're actually going to get through that 23-minute thing where you're starting to get distracted. And when you get distracted, it takes 23 minutes from the beginning of the distraction to the end in order for you to get refocused. And so you've wasted almost a half an hour. So you might as well just take that break so that your brain gets a little rest before it dives into another deep 25-minute work session. And then lastly is to use any resources that you think would be helpful for you, whether it's putting on headphones, whether it's wearing blue blocker glasses, which I don't know where mine are right now, but I use those every time I'm sitting down at the computer because that helps with the blue ray lights, and they're not getting in my face and they're not hurting me quite as much. But whether it's headphones, whether it's listening to a specific type of music, I found this productivity playlist on Spotify the other day. Oh my gosh, it is life-giving. I'm going to share it in the comments down below because it is, oh, it's so good to listen to. But whether it's blue blocker glasses or that, using an actual timer, maybe tracking your work, maybe you use Toggle to track your work. I always do, so that I actually know what I spent my time working on, and I can see what sort of things like I'm spending way too much time on and I might want to give to a VA, or I might want to just cut entirely from my business. And so I will link those down below as well. But figuring out what works for you. If you like listening to music, do it. If you like listening to a podcast while you work, do it. Although I probably wouldn't do that during a deep work session. But whatever works for you, make sure that you're utilizing the right tools and the right resources, the right work environment. If for you that's sitting on the couch, great. If for you that's sitting in your office, great. But just making sure that whatever you're doing works for you and your workflow. That's basically it. The Pomodoro technique, there's not too much to it. I'll definitely share how I incorporate the Pomodoro technique into my ideal day pretty soon. I'm going to have a video on how I utilize that, but I use the Pomodoro almost every single day in some form. In fact, I'm using the Pomodoro right now to film these YouTube videos. I'm giving myself 25-minute sessions to record these because Lincoln is asleep and I need to get crack-a-lackin'. So, I hope that you really enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about the Pomodoro technique, or you use the Pomodoro technique, or you want to guess how many times I said Pomodoro technique in this video, drop it down below. I would love to hear from you. But like I said, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't talk. Like, subscribe, and share so that people can find these videos and they can help be more productive as well, because that is always my goal, to help you be as productive as you can be in your life and your biz, so you can create the life you desire without having to work 24/7 to get it. So if you have any ideas for videos, always let me know. I would love to film what you are interested in. But for now, I'm gonna keep going through this Pomodoro technique. I've got about 10 minutes left till I have to take a break, and I need to film 2 more videos. So with that, I will talk to you all later. Bye guys.